Hey everyone, I'm back with my next installment of Who's Who's, and this is more not just of a who's who in the comic book, but it's more of a defensing of a character. You see, this character I'm going to talk about has been getting a lot of, as they would say, hate mail and haterade tossed towards her over the past I don't know how many years. Now I've defended this character's relationship with the main hero. But still, people get at this character because of who she is and what she's done. And that character is Princess Sally. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Princess Sally. I can understand that. But you have to understand that Princess Sally is the kind of character. Well, Princess Sally is basically Sega of America, if not Sega's answer in America, if you will, to Disney's Minnie Mouse. In other words, Sonic is like Sega's Mickey, Sally is Sega's Minnie, to many fans. But the reason a majority of fans don't like her is because of the way she's been portrayed. Now, you gotta understand, some say, now you gotta understand, Sally, she's the kind of character that is evolved, like a lot of the characters, she's evolved over the years. Um, I mean, some fans out there, some people would say she doesn't look like a Sonic character. Well, you know what? She is a Sonic character. Now, some of you may say, well, she's not an official Sonic character because she's never been in the games. Well, I got a little news flash for you. Let me ask you, have you ever played Sonic Spinball? Because if you have, you might notice in a bonus level, she is in the game. She, Rotor, and Bunny are in the game, and they have to be rescued by Sonic. And she was and had the game been approved and made, she would have been in the Sat-AM inspired game that was going to be released back in the mid 90s. So you can't say she's not an official game character because she has appeared in the games. And and if you have the Sonic Mega Collection either for the Xbox, the PlayStation 2 or the GameCube, the comic books are featured in there, so basically she is an official game character if you think about it. But anyway, getting back to who Princess Sally is. Sally, when she first started out in the comic books, just started out as a princess. No one didn't really have much of a background. All she was doing was looking for a father and everything. And she was colored brown, orange brown, with yellow hair. Then later on, she was colored pink with black hair and I think maybe a headband in there. Now, when you compared her to the cartoon, which also came out at the time, you might say to yourself, well, why does she look so different from her cartoon counterpart? Well, there is an episode, the pilot episode, called Heads or Tails, where she's about the same color and the same design. But then later on, as you notice, she does evolve into what she looks like now, or how we know her now. But there was a lot of fans at the time when the cartoon and the comic book were out, the early issues of the comic book, were asking why didn't she look the same? Well, it wasn't until about issue 16, I believe, that Princess Sally finally got her official makeover into who she was. And it wasn't until, I think it was issue 29 of the Knuckles Echidna comic, when it was running, that we find out that the reason Sally had so many color changes was because during one of the earlier missions against Robotnik, she fell into a chemical vat, and thus it basically dyed her hair into multiple colors. And by scrubbing it out and everything, she changed color. She went from orange brown with yellow hair to the pink with black hair to back to what she is now. So basically that's why Sally looks so different. Even in the earlier issues, because it was because of an earlier mission, which, like I said, was explained in the Knuckles comic book. Now, as far as Sally goes as a character, now one of the things people get on her about is her romance, is her relationship in romances. Well, I'll take a look at that in just a bit, but let's take a look at the character of who she is. Now, some people say she doesn't care about her people. Well, you know what? Sally does care about her people. In fact, I have noticed by reading the comics sometimes and even watching the show that Sally is portrayed as the kind of princess that wishes she wasn't really a princess and that she could just be one of the people. Well, believe it or not, during her time in Knothole leading the freedom fighters and everything, she gets her wish. She does become one of the people, and sometimes she tells those that, she befriends and becomes allies with that they don't have to call her Princess Sally, that Sally will do. She even tells Mina this one time, and I can't think of the issue's number, but she tells Mina this when Mina asks for advice, ice and everything, and before Mina leaves, she kind of thanks her properly, but Sally says, "Hey, you don't have to thank me as a princess, but Sally will do. I'm just Sally. That's all." And that's the kind of character she is. She's very caring about her people, and she basically thinks of herself as one of the people. She doesn't take her title as princess very seriously unless it's needed. Oh, excuse me there. Now, now, however, now she also, however, is looked upon by certain characters, like say Tails, in the cartoon and in some of the issues of Sonic the Hedgehog, as a well, some might say he looks up to her in those earlier issues and in the cartoon as a motherly figure, but but calls her and Bunny, aunts. In other words, instead of calling her Sally, he calls her Aunt Sally. Instead of calling Bunny Bunny, he calls her Aunt Bunny. But I think Sally is also portrayed to Tails as not just like an aunt and motherly figure, but also as like a big sister. Because besides Sonic, Tails also looks up to her. And as a matter of fact, even though it's not shown in the cartoon, Sally also trains Tails kind of trains him in his training. In other words, she becomes the teacher, he's the student. Now, going besides all that, you want to talk about another. You want to talk about the romance, and this is the one topic that a lot of people talk about is the romance. Now, a lot of people have talked about the fact that she has used certain male characters in the cartoon and in the comic book to make Sonic jealous. For example, in the first season of Sonic the Hedgehog, Saturday AM, I can't think of the name. I think it was Warp Sonic. I think that was the name of the episode. I'm not sure. She meets Sonic and Antoine meet up with this freedom fighter named Grift, who's a goat, and is basically like the leader of an underground village. Now, what happens is here's what's funny. Now, here's what's ironic about this. The way Griff is being portrayed is he's a smooth talker. He's a very nice guy and a very smooth person, kind, well mannered, and basically, but he's well mannered, and this is qualities any girl at Sally's age, which is about 15, 16 at the time, wants to look for in a guy, or wants to look for in a guy when they consider maybe taking another step into the relationship part, into the boyfriend girlfriend part. Now, like I said, Sally likes this because this is, like I said, the kind of person she'd like to be with, although she's still contemplating. However, what she doesn't realize is that this person she's falling for has a motive as to why he's flirting with her, why he's being well mannered with her, why he's saying all these sweet things and basically sweet talking her and making her blush. The reason being is because his city's power supply is dwindling, and that once the city's power supply is dead and gone, they won't be able to survive in the underground. So, like I say, Griff basically has to manipulate by, like I say, smooth talking, sweet talking, doing all this with Sally, just so he can get a chance to stay in Knothole with them for about the night. Now, what happens is that, unknowns to Sally, until the next day, during the night, Grift, after he's introduced to the power pool, after Sally introduced him to the power pool, during the time a power ring comes up, Griff basically gets the idea that, this might be what we need. And even though he knows it's wrong to do, In desperate times, there are times they call for desperate measures, and that's what Griff does. He takes a desperate measure in stealing the Power Stone, which is the supply for the Power Rings, to help power his city. And thus, because of this, after discovering what Griff has done, Sally basically realizes, okay, he is a sweet guy, but maybe it'd be best if we just become friends, if not allies. And so, in the end, that relationship, or could have been relationship, is killed off. And I'll get into the other two relationships in a second.